following episode of Arden's Garden is underwritten in part by Chipotle Fresh Mexican Grill, gourmet burritos and tacos, food with integrity, 500 Del Monte Center, Monterey, open 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. 7 days a week, and by Earthbound Farm, offering all organic gourmet vegetables, fruits, and flowers, and a variety of freshly prepared organic foods daily, 7 to 7 Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6 Sundays and holidays, 7250 Carmel Valley Road, Carmel Valley.
Good evening. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming out to Arden's Garden. It's so wonderful to have you all here, and I want to give you an opportunity to give a very warm welcome to tonight's guest. He is just a wonderful storyteller, songwriter. He's a real live cowboy. He's a great guy too. Please welcome Mike Beck.
How's it sound out there so far? I want to saddle my horse in darkness and trot out through the morning dew. I want to breathe some air that's never been breathed. I want to drink the wine of freedom and toast the good ones that we knew. I want to count a million stars and think of you. I want to see one more hometown rodeo where it's hats off of the flag. Yeah, we cheer the bucking horse and the wild ride. I want to put a hole in my TV set and let the silence ring true. I want to count a million stars and thank you. So don't tell me that the West is dead and gone. Yeah, my heart can't stand to hear that sad old song. And if you're saying, son, you missed it all, here's hoping that you're wrong. Don't tell me it's dead and gone. I want to see one more Charlie Russell print in some old rundown cafe, where old men in coffee tell their tales. I want to ride out with the wagon and the scent of the springtime sage. I want to keep the wind at my back on down the trail. So don't tell me that the West is dead and gone. Yeah, my heart can't stand to hear that sad old song. And if you're saying, son, you missed it all, here's hoping that you're on. Don't tell me it's dead and gone. Suntan, cowgirl cheeks and long braids neath a hat. Hear the summer rain on the roof at a country dance. And we're gonna ride out our raging storms till that old light comes shining through. And then we'll count a million stars and think of you. So don't tell me that the West is dead and gone. Yeah, my heart can't stand to hear that sad old song. And if you're saying, son, that you missed it all, here's hoping that you're wrong. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me it's dead and gone. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for coming down. It's a real honor to be here in Arden's garden, hence all the flowers. Should have brought my work clothes. I could have been working in the garden here. Well, I'm going to play some songs tonight I wrote and some that I stole. That's called the folk tradition. And that first one I wrote is about, I started that at this cowboy gathering down in Los Angeles that was just, I got kind of weirded out down there, but it was fun anyway. And started it down there after I talked to this fellow named Buck Ramsey, the late Buck Ramsey, great writer of cowboy prose. He said there's always somebody dying to get old so they can tell you how tough it was. That's kind of what that song's about in a way. And took a bunch of little things I really like about the West and put them in there. And this is being shot in Monterey. So I got to do this Joe Mora song. Is there any Joe Mora fans out there at all tonight? Yeah. Wow, how wonderful. Joe Mora was like Western Art Deco or something. I don't really know what to call it, but I loved his stuff, and it's all over Monterey. And I wrote this with a guy from Canada, Ian Tyson. There's some Ian Tyson fans out there tonight. Dedicate this to Ian. Tonight I called him the other night. He slipped and broke his foot. I said he broke his foot, and I said, how'd you do that? He says, well, I wasn't riding or anything, Mike. I was watering my trees. Slipped and fell, you know. So. But we started this over the phone. We finished it in the Stockman's Hotel in Elko, Nevada. Well, colors wash on adobe, mixed with salty sea air, filters through redwood and oak trees, hits a Santa Lucia standing there, and vaqueros trot into the plaza, and the guitars they build and they sway, horses in rawhide and silver slide and spin in a timeless display. Joe Mora told the story, the color and the glory, and the Californios who rode through dapple green and gold. Ay, 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 in old California. Senoritas in the hand-woven colors, and their scarves frame faces of brown, dance at the Mission Fiesta. They laugh and sing, they twirl round and round, and the ancient roar off the ocean, and the grapes they ripen on the vine. Foggy arroyos and canyons, there's freighters anchored off the coastline. Joe Mora told the story, all the color and the glory, and the Californios who rode through dapple green and gold. Ay, 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 in old California. missions out by Monterey. They're molded in the wood and the bronze. Joe Moore's vision of yesterday. Old California lives on and on and on and on. Joe Moore told the story, all the color and the glory, and the Californios who rode through dapple green and gold. Ay, 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 in old California. And Joe Moore told the story, well, all the color and the glory, and the Californios who rode through dapple green and gold. Ay, 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 in old California. Thank you. Thank you. I just got back from Norway. I was in Norway. I got back last Saturday. And it's getting dark over there right now, real early. But I was over there helping people with their horses. That's the other thing I do to make a living. And Lord knows they need help in Norway. The people will come in, and I like to let the people talk a little bit because it makes them feel kind of good about themselves. And, you know, and I usually say something like, so how old's your horse? And they tell me. And I said, what do you like to do with him? And then they'll tell me that, you know. And then I'll say, well, do you ride in the forest? You know, they call it, they don't have the hills there, they just call it the forest. Yeah, well, I ride him through the forest. How's that go? Oh, that goes fine. And I found out that fine is that they didn't get killed, basically, you know. So anyway, their definition of fine is a little different than mine. But anyway, it's pretty fun. And, yeah, so I still kind of got jet lagged when I come back. I don't adjust too good, you know, so I'm still... I was living in Montana for a long time. When I come back to California, I'd usually be pulling some horses, and I'd be driving along, going down Interstate 80, you know, the way. My dog could drive it. I've done it so many times. You know, you go down through Pocatello, down to Twin Falls, down to Wells, Nevada, get on 80, Elko, Winnemucca, Battle Mountain, the whole thing, Lovelock, Reno, and everything's going great, and you drive over the top of the hill, and you start coming down the other side. You start dropping down the Sacramento Valley, and you start realizing that, man, there's a lot of people here. They all seem to know me. They're waving with one finger at my horse trailer and me. They're so friendly. But I started this song when I was coming down there, and it's called, I can't remember what it's even called, Vaquero or something. Well, California can make me nervous. There's cars zooming everywhere. They're taking millions of people to millions of jobs. Some feel they're going nowhere. When I go through there pulling horses, I get a little more tense, it seems. How could this be the land once of manana, full of vaquero dreams? And vaquero, he rode good horses. And vaquero, he made his mark. And vaquero roped a grizzly bear in the middle of Golden Gate Park. while the coyotes, they yipped and they barked. On I-5, just south of Tracy, was that a flash of silver I saw? Could that be the ghost of Marino Sanchez? He's disappearing up that draw. Look in the face of that boy there busting dishes. I bet his ancestors rode with pride. I bet the savvy the way the spade bent knew secrets of the braided rawhide. And Vaquero, he rode good horses. And Vaquero, he made his mark. And Vaquero roped a grizzly bear in the middle of Golden Gate Park, while the coyotes, they yipped and they barked. Track home down by Fresno, 150 channels are on. Well, they get their beef at some burger joint. They're way too busy to hear this song. But I still love the land of them missions, yes, and those wind-swept ocean parks, the harmonies of them Beach Boys, people with the cowboy in their heart. And Vaquero, he rode good horses. Yeah, and Vaquero, he made his mark. And Vaquero roped a grizzly bear in the middle of the Paso Robles City Park. Yeah, while the coyotes, they yipped and they barked. Rode good horses. Yeah, and Vaquero, he made his mark. And Vaquero roped a grizzly bear in the middle of Golden Gate Park, while the coyotes, they yipped and they barked. Thank you. Guilty undertaker sighs, lonesome organ grinder cries, and the silver saxophones said I should refuse you. Cracked bells and washed out horns blow into my face with scorn, but it's not that way. I wasn't born to lose you. Well, I want you, I want you so bad, honey, I want you. Well, the drunken politician leaps upon the street where mothers weep and saviors who are fast asleep. Well, they wait for you. They wait for me to interrupt, drinking from my broken cup, and they ask me, open up the gate for you. Well, I want you, I want you, I want you so bad. Honey, I want you. Well, all my fathers, they've gone down. True love, yeah, they've been without it. All their daughters, they put me down, 'cause I don't think about it. So I'll return to the Queen of Spades, and I'll talk with my chambermaid. She knows I'm not afraid to look at her. She is good to me, and there's nothing that she doesn't see, 'cause she knows where I want to be, but it don't matter. 'Cause I want you, want you, I want you so bad. Honey, I want you. Drunken child in his Chinese suit spoke to me, and I took his flute. You know, I wasn't very cute to him, was I? But I did it because he lied, because he took you for a ride, because time was on his side, and because well, I want you, I want you so bad. Honey, I want you. Thank you.
How many of you already know Mike or have seen him play before? Only a couple people. Well, I'll tell you that Mike is a great raconteur. He also likes to talk, and he's got a lot of stories about a lot of great subjects. He knows everything about horses. He knows a lot about cowboy, and he has hung out with all of the greats, Ian Tyson, Tom Russell, Ramblin' Jack Elliott, and ask him and he'll tell you. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do as a cowboy, and then I'll give the audience a chance to ask you some questions too. Yeah, as a cowboy.
Well, I don't really cowboy much anymore. I help the neighbors a little bit, but mostly what I do is work with horses and help people with their horses, and then people bring me horses to start. And just mostly what I'm trying to do is work with people, because the horses are the easy part. You know, they want something, they want to change, so the horses just want something. They change so quick because they're always looking for something better, whereas people have all this stuff in their way. you know, they have all these, like, you know, major excuses or something. So, but it's all about people, yeah. But the horses are just there, because the way that I'm trying to help people with their horses is all about the person changing, to get this, to bring out this kind of change in the horse that's long-lasting and fitting to the horse. Yeah.
And it works?
Well, you know what? That's the only thing I do know for sure. The rest of it I don't know a thing about. But I do know, I can see from the horses when I'm working with them, you can see that it's very fitting to them because of their expression and how they start to come through, and it's on their level. So, yeah, it works for the horse. Whether it's going to work for people or not, the jury's still out, you know, on that deal.
If you have a question for Mike, I need to get you on mic so that when people are watching at home on television, they'll be able to hear you. So just raise your hand, and I'll come around with the mic if you have anything that you'd like to ask. Mike, why don't you tell us a little bit about You need to
It's kind
stand,
of a
okay?
shy group.
You'll just be standing. Well, I'm going to get you going, and they'll
Okay.
get the idea,
All
I
right.
think.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I know that you've told me that Ramblin' Jack Elliott is a mentor of sorts to you. Tell us a little bit about how that came to be.
Well, I did a show with Jack one time and opened for him at this coffee house, and we became friends ever since, you know. And if you guys don't know who Ramblin' Jack Elliott is, you really owe it to yourself to know who he is. They don't call him Ramblin' because he goes everywhere. It's because he can just talk about any subject, and it sort of wore off on me. I'm a little afraid. It's like, you know, what do they call that? Yeah, contact thing, you know. But he's a very, very special guy, and he's an American treasure. He really is, and he knows everybody. He brought Woody Guthrie's music to Europe. That's one thing he did that was pretty amazing. I was at his house one time, and he has this old, really cool old Gretsch acoustic, and it's got the old sound hole, you know, that's shaped like this kind of, you know. And he says, he's handing me these different guitars to play, and he says, "Hey, here you can play this one. It's the guitar that brought Woody Guthrie's music to Europe." And what's so cool about that is that was before the internet, you know, and he really drove around on the back of a Vespa and pretty much busked everywhere, you know, busking, playing on the streets, and he brought, you know, he played Woody's music all over Europe. And in England, you know, the English rockers, they all talk about him in their interviews, Mick Jagger and Paul McCartney, and they all talk about Ramblin' Jack. So he's quite a legend. And then, you know, he traveled with Woody Guthrie and was Woody's understudy when when Woody was so sick, no one could be around him. Jack took care of him, you know, and went on the road with him. And so he learned all of Woody's stuff and learned a bunch from Cisco Houston, and he's just an interesting guy. So it's been a real honor to know him, you know, and we get to do a lot of shows together, and each one of those is a story in itself. That's for sure. Yeah.
Anybody in the audience have a question? Oh, I see a few over there. Let me get over there, Mike. Just hum a little while I'm walking
Are these
over
planted
there.
questions or
No,
what?
sir.
I feel
Did
like
you put your
Dr.
hand up?
Phil,
I didn't
man.
see. Okay.
Yeah, I have a horse question. How did you learn about training horses?
That's a good question. Well, I was fortunate enough to have my mother got a horse for us to ride when I was about in 3rd grade. And I remember I went to school. I was so excited. I told everybody I had a horse, and they all were like, you know, big deal, because nobody, you know, was interested. But I fooled around on that and fell off of that quite a bit and rode every day after school, most every day. And then I fell in with some people, and I was really fortunate because right around this area, the Monterey Peninsula, there was 2 brothers that pretty much changed the way people work with horses all over the world. And they didn't really set out to do that. And I didn't know how special they were. They were just around this place where I was at. And so I wanted to be with them. That was Bill and Tom Dorrance. And Tom was around the area in different places, but Bill always had the ranch on Mount Toro. And so I wanted it and went after it, and that's what I did. And I you know, I was just obsessed with it. I wanted it pretty bad. And they were really fortunate, or they were I was fortunate, and they were so great to me and gave me that. And while all my friends were off at college drinking beer and chasing girls, I was doing that. And then we'd go to Nevada and cowboy in these big ranches, and I worked with a few other guys that were interested in the same way, emulating Tom and Bill's approach. And you know, and then we'd go work there. I worked on this place for a few years, over 2 million acres, and worked there. And then we just did everything horseback. And we'd come back, and then I'd go work with them again. So he was like family to me. Bill Dorrance was, and I was really, really lucky to have that. And didn't know I'd be ended up doing what I do today. And that's so wild to me. I mean, it really moves me. I was just in Norway. I was at a place I'd never been before doing a clinic, and I said, you know, this guy, Bill Dorrance, oh yeah, they know him there. And it's too amazing to me, you know, that on the other side of the world, there's people that know of these guys. But I thought every old guy was as cool as that, but, you know, and then I got out in the world and saw that they were very special, and I was real lucky. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
We get another question back here.
Hi, Mike. Who's your favorite cowboy poet? And if you do cowboy poetry, would you please do one for us?
You know, I don't do cowboy poetry. I used to do it when I worked on these ranches. We actually did it in that was before the cowboy poetry gathering in Elko, and then it became this thing. And I love cowboy poetry if it's done right. And there's just a lot. It's sort of I got a real opinion. I know I'm on TV, but it's sort of, there's a bunch that's not so good. And so it's become, it's okay. But so my favorite cowboy poet really is, I mean, I love the old classics. I really do. And I think there's room for people to write new stuff, you know. But I go to these gatherings, they hire me to play music, and it's like, you know, one other poem about Grandpa having to shoot old nubbins out in the field, you know, and so, but I do really like Bruce Kiskadden, who is one of the big classics and wrote a book called Rhymes of the Range, and that's just a wonderful, wonderful. He was like the Charlie Russell of cowboy poetry, and there's some guys writing good stuff too. My favorite, I think, guy that's writing stuff now is Paul Zarzyski. You know, he's like a bebop approach to cowboy poetry, if that could happen. Yeah.
Anybody else? Oh, we got one over here.
Mike, when did you start playing the guitar, and why?
Why? Well, I started playing guitar when I was 13, and it's a great story that I didn't have enough money for a guitar. I wanted this guitar. I wanted a guitar. Every day I'd walk home from school, and I'd go to Abinanti's music store on Main Street in Monterey, and I'd go in there, and there'd be these Martins and these Gibsons, and I'd go in there, you know, and I'm sure they love seeing me come in there every day. And so one day I went in there, and the salesman said, "Hey, come here." And he brought me, and if you go into Abinanti's, you go down, and it's on 2 levels. You know, it goes down the back street. So you're going down the stairs, and underneath the stairs is this hidden compartment room down there. And there's like these old snare drums with broken heads and amplifiers with the grill cloth ripped off. And he picked up this guitar, and it was a Marco Polo. It had made in Korea. It had for some reason, they had a sailboat on here, and they said, he said, "I'll tell you what, you can have this guitar if you promise to never come in here again." And so that was my first guitar. And my latest one, this one, I got a call from the Gibson company, and they said, "Hey, we want to give you a guitar. What do you want?" And I said, "Well, wow, you're kidding." Well, I said, I always loved that Bob Dylan sound when Bob played the Gibsons, different than Martin's, more percussive. And they said, "Yeah, come on down." And so they thought that was so cool, they were going to give me this other one. But they said, "This is a guitar we built in the 40s, and we built a few of them again. We gave one to Bob Dylan. We're going to give one to you." So I call it Bob. And I think it's so cool that I got my first one for free and my last one for free.
Can I ask another question? Did you start singing when you began to play, or
You
did
know,
that
there's
come
a girl
later?
here that taught me my very first lick, and I'm going to play it for her. If I, there's a girl I recognize in the audience I went to school with, and I used to bring this guitar to school, and she had a Martin, and I thought she was so cool. She's still cool, but I wanted this Martin guitar, and so she taught me this. Here, see if I did it right, okay? How'd it go? Okay, yeah. So she taught me that, and so, you know, I just picked stuff up and stole stuff from people, and never took any lessons, but I just watched people and could steal things, and that's how you do it, you know. Then you end up with your own thing going. Yeah, and why did I don't know. Kept me out of jail.
Just ornery.
Yeah, I was ornery.
I think maybe we could squeeze in another question, because I'd like to have time for some more music. I'm sure all these folks would too. No? One back here.
Howdy, Beck. I'm just wondering who your favorite pickers are.
My favorite pickers.
Yeah.
Well, there's the lot of them that I always really, really liked. I always liked Doc Watson, and I really enjoy just so many guys. Clarence White was one of my favorites, and he played with the Byrds and was a great flat picker. And I always liked the guy that was on the every Saturday afternoon. You could turn on the TV. I'd go and watch it. It was about 4:30, and the Porter Wagner show come on. And Buck Trent was on there playing that electric banjo with all the tuners on it. But I always liked the Buck Owens show. That was the real show. It come on afterwards, and there was that guy named Don Rich, that would, remember him? He had that great hair. Man, and he played the Telecaster, and, what were his... Oh, my heart skips a beat when we walk down the street. He played all that kind of stuff, and I love that. Don Rich was his name, but yeah, James Burton played with Ricky Nelson and Emmylou Harris and
Elvis too.
Yeah, he played with Elvis, and but I think I was really influenced by a guy named Clarence White that was a great guitar player from Southern California. But now I don't listen to too much, really. I listen to some Clarence stuff, but I always loved that guy that played with Merle Haggard too, Roy Nichols. Okay, what do you want me to do? You're the running this
I
show.
think that we should let the folks have a chance to hear you play some more music, Mike.
Okay, let me think of a song to play. If this gets too professional, let me know. I'll do something about it. It's this is a song I wrote that's off my Mariposa Wind CD. About, you ever smell something and it brings you back to a certain time in your life, or you hear a song, it'll bring you back to a certain place in your life. And this is about this this guy smells the wind coming down from the foothills of the Sierras, and it reminds him of this wonderful woman that he had, but he screwed the whole thing up, so just a guy, he's just a man. Well, I remember not so long ago, the rain and how it fell, and all she spoke was Spanish, and her hair smelled like roses. She dressed herself in silver and silk. That night in the garden, in stillness of the air, we sang love songs together, too young to have a care. But it seems that I'm going back there again. Feel Mariposa wind. Two-leaf fog morning, whiskey in my coffee cup. Well, we saddled up just before the dawn and crossed the Salinas River, and we rode the foothill trail till we reached the old mission in San Juan. Sugar pines and lupin, they rose fragrant in the dew. Why'd ever leave there? What did I have to do? But it seems that I'm going back there again. To feel Mariposa wind. it to me. Said forever me and more, but I was too busy while I was chasing my rank boy. I was always thinking about this when I wrote this last verse about that famous picture of James Dean, you know, where he's walking down the street, that black and white picture. He's got that collar turned up on that long overcoat. Well, now I'm living up in Frisco, washing dishes down on Sutter Street, and I got half a mind to pack it up and go. Search till I found her, buy her a fine horse, and we camp where cool waters tumble down. But that old foghorn is blowing as I light one more cigarette, stroll down by these old docks, but I never forget. And it seems that I'm going back there again. Yes, it seems that I'm going back there again. In a field, Mariposa wind. Mariposa wind. This is a song I wrote after this. Read this book called Pullin' Leather. It's a true story. This guy named Reuben Mullins, and it was a common story. I think that he came out from back east in the 1860s to the west and wanted to be a cowboy. And I think a lot of guys did that, you know, and they'd cowboy for a while and then they'd go off and do something else. And it's a great story, and so it reminded me of it was like 110 years later that I was cowboying in Nevada, and it was just about the same kind of thing. We hadn't changed things much about the way they work the cattle. So it's a little bit of his life, a little bit of mine. Marco Polo. Well, I rode the rail out from the east to live the cowboy life. Rode the rail out from the east to live the cowboy life. Yeah, with a high Kent saddle and a brogan shoes, brand new barley knife. And I've rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. Well, cow boss in Wyoming said I could make a hand. Cow boss in Wyoming said I could make a hand. summer out on the range with him and his jolly band. And I rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. Horses, their tails all clamped tight. Gave me a string of horses, tails all clamped tight. It's not a good sign. Well, watch me get them all rode and shod. Must have been a pitiful sight. And I've rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. We roped wild calves, planked them down, give them the boss's brand. Rope wild calves, planked them down, give them the boss's brand. So thick, sun burning down, it was all that I could stand. And I rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. You know how I used to learn guitar? You were asking earlier. I was just thinking about we used to go down to Denny's and drink a lot of coffee. Then we'd go to the laundromat and play. Really, we'd go there and play bluegrass at the laundromat. All hopped up on Denny's coffee. The cook was mean and quite unclean, he dared not complain. The cook was mean and quite unclean, he dared not complain. Well, you'd find your turn to wrangle come again and again and again and again and again and again. And I rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. 2 feet in the stirrups and one hand on the reins. 2 feet in the stirrups and one hand on the reins. Back an old bay cow pony, it's how I saw the plains. And I rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. Rode all over the west, boys, trotted all over the west. Thank you. Well, I've had a really great time playing tonight. I think it's great to support this kind of stuff, community events of any kind, and this TV show could be a cool thing for everybody and for Arden and everybody that's helping out down here. I went out on the streets of Laredo, as I walked out in Laredo one day, with a spotty young cowboy, all dressed in white linen, all dressed in white linen, and cold as clay. Well, I can see by your outfit you are a cowboy. These words he did say as I boldly strolled by. Come and sit down beside me and hear my sad story. I got shot in the breast and I know I must die. It was once in the saddle, used to go dashing. It was once in the saddle, boys. Well, I used to go gay. First to the dram house, then down to Rosie's cart house. I got shot in the breast, and I'm dying today. So go and gather around you a group of young cowboys and tell them the story of this my sad fate. Tell one and the other before they go further to stop their wild roving before it's too kind of the short version. Thank you. I got a little thrown off there. I don't do TV too often. Well, the Letterman show, but no. And I got off. But I guess I got time for one more song. I know that we are on a strict schedule. Is that right, the host? How about I'll make a hand for our host, Arden of Arden's Garden, all the work she does for this. This is wonderful. Love you. So I should do one more? Okay, and stop when? Now you're gonna, I know we went over this 10 times, but I'm bad with numbers. Okay, so I got like 4 minutes. Cool. Well, I don't think that I could ever settle down. Well, I tried before and I just got really turned around. But I hope the West keeps one more chapter open for me, 'cause I just wanna be where the green grass grows. We'll spend a little time in the saddle just riding along. Yeah, the wind through the sage is still my favorite song. Cowboy life brings little pay. Crazy to be out here anyway. You gotta wanna lay where the green grass. I lay where the green grass grows. go where the four winds blow, and I never have a yard to mow. Stuccoed house on cul-de-sac road, 'cause I just wanna lay green grass grow. Well, my old car, it looks like it's ready to die. Don't let her fool you, she still got plenty of try. With a little black and white dog in the back, we're down the road and we're making tracks, looking for a place where the green grass grows. So if you see me fall, don't shed a tear. My body'll die, but my soul is out of here. You might think I had a tough road to hoe, but if I did it again, it's the way I'd go. I just wanna lay where the green grass grows. I lay where the green grass grows. I go where the four winds blow, and I'll never have a yard to mow. Stuck old house on the cul-de-sac road, 'cause I just wanna lay where the green grass grows. Yeah, I just wanna lay where green grass grows. TV. Like a psychedelic jam or something.